What's good? You are watching and listening to Daniel and Gian talk shit, and just had to turn the AC off. And we're gonna start sweating here pretty soon. Hopefully it holds for a while, but fuck, man, this global warming shit.
Global warming's not real.
I guess not. Keep telling yourself that. It's gonna be 90 plus degrees.
It's just Mexicans.
There's so many Mexicans in LA now that it's increasing the overall heat.
Yeah, that's what it
of
is.
The city.
That would actually make sense if it was white people.
Right.
Because then the light would be bouncing all around.
Exactly.
Therefore increasing.
Kind of reflective.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas if
you would assume that the more brown people, just it would absorb all of
absorbing all the sunlight and the heat and making things cooler for the rest of us, but it doesn't seem to be the case. The science is not supporting that theory. How you doing, man?
In pain.
Yeah, you took 12 injections yesterday.
14 needles in total, technically.
Wow, so 14 injections.
Well, one
for the IV.
IV is 1, blood is 2. Those count, and then 6 local anesthetic shots.
Did those help at all?
No, because because the doctor gave me exactly 0 seconds to let it sit in. If he would have hit me with them, waited 5-10 minutes, and then did it, I probably wouldn't have felt anything.
I had that shit happen to me when I broke my nose. Went into the emergency room. They jammed the fucking needle in my nose, and immediately he starts trying to fix my nose back in place, and it hurts like a motherfucker to the point where I didn't let him completely set it, so it's crooked now. And I was and then we leave, and then I can't feel my fucking face.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
That's what I'm in the so they I don't know where it was, but that's what it felt like. And then I told him, I hate needles. I told him, every time you do one, you got to give me a countdown.
Right.
Because at least mentally, okay, it's coming. Okay. And then he'd fucking.
So you
stop.
need to brace for it?
Yeah.
Oh.
I have to. I can't.
See, I just don't look.
The randomness, I hate the randomness.
Oh, so yeah, that doesn't bother me.
That makes the anxiety worse.
I just turn my head, boom.
No.
I feel the pinch, and then that's it.
As soon as I know it's coming, I found that's my way to cope with it. Just a countdown, 3, 2, 1, and then he did it for the first few, and then he stopped, and I'm like, you need to count down, because then I was now I'm fucking. It made it worse.
Yeah.
For him to start doing it, and then he stopped, because then it's
because you were tensing up because
I was ready. There was a rhythm, there was a pattern, and then he did. But yeah, those 6, and then the PRP shots, those fucking. I don't know. I don't know what it felt like. I mean, I don't know what it looked like.
You know how long the needles were? But
it felt like they just stabbed me through the chest.
I think there's a difference between going into your vein and then going into the muscle. This is all bro science. I'm assuming it hurts a little more when it goes into the muscle because you're hitting nerves and shit.
Some really hurt. The sides
of
my shoulders, where I'm assuming it was, that fucking hurt. The inside didn't hurt as much.
Should have set a mirror up.
I should have just recorded it. But yeah, and then once you're done, he's like, okay, because you're face down. And all right, now you need to flip over. Dude, I couldn't even flip over. I'm I don't think I can. I literally that's how I was like this. I felt like my back was just so fucking tense that just went in a straight fucking stupid mode. And then when I did roll over, it hurt so bad. But then in 5 minutes, I'm oh, I actually feel great. And then I realized,
because the
fucking anesthetic kicked
maybe that's
in.
what the anesthetic for. It's not for the shot itself, but for the after.
And that could be, and maybe that's the case. And if that's the case, I can get it, because it was fucking fucking painful. And I'm sure my body was still starting to be numb at that point.
Right.
I don't know. Either way, though, by the time I left, I was stabilized.
You're okay, yeah.
I could drive home, and then I got sore throughout the day, especially because I went and worked after. Literally, the thing it says, the number one thing is no heavy lifting.
That's the first thing you did?
Well, I fucking got to do the boom. You got to do, it's not heavy, but it becomes heavy.
Yeah, after a while. Different kind of muscle you're using there. It's a lactic acid that starts hurting you.
But it was cool.
So you decided to go, they wanted to put you under for the procedure, and you said,
no,
not going to do it.
Next time, probably. Most likely next time.
But you said everybody else there that was getting a procedure done, they were all going under.
Yeah, they were.
Issues with it.
Everyone, I was the only one who didn't. And then one of the nurses even told me, hey, well, you're a strong man or something like that for trying or for doing it without it. Because hardly anyone does it. I bet you all the people in there were thinking oh, here comes a poor person, which is true, but that's not why I was doing it.
Oh, they were talking about it in front of everybody?
No, I feel like if you don't get low, because general anesthesia is like fucking $2,000. It's expensive as shit, which just makes you wonder. Well, why are you paying for the what? I want to know how much the drugs cost.
All marked up. Oh yeah.
Well, duh.
Yeah, everything's
But I'm
marked
just curious, how much?
That's a big. This is the big reason why there's no like public health care here. Well, there's no like what.
Yeah, but I'm saying like, okay,
is because of how much.
let me put it to you this way. Let's say it's $2,000.
Look, if you cut the insurance company out of the middle, the prices would drop substantially.
I'm not even saying it like that. I'm not even. I'm in my head right now. Let me say what I wanted to say. So let's say the drug costs $2,000. Fucking 1,800 of that should go to the anesthesiologist. The surgeon should see none of that money. The fucking because they're not doing shit.
Anesthesiologists, they get paid, bro.
No, I'm not saying they don't, but I'm saying if that procedure to get put under costs $2,000, most of it needs to be going to that guy or girl because the drug is the fucking drug.
Yeah,
they're not making the drug. The drug company makes the drug. You assume that they're making the right drug and everything's up.
It's the person putting you under.
It's the guy or girl who knows how much your body weight is and how much you can take and where like doing all the chemistry. I'm assuming.
Well, from what my limited knowledge of it, they're putting you under, and I don't know if they're also the person that keeps you like alive. Because when you get put under, you're basically dead.
No, that's what the IV's for.
Yeah. But they also have to like, sometimes they have to put, I had surgery, they put a breathing tube down there.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they gotta hook you up to all kinds of shit.
The fucking doctor comes in and
it legit just shuts your body down.
The doctor doesn't do shit sometimes.
Comes in, cuts you open.
And that's it. Wouldn't cut me open. Fuck that. I wouldn't get surgery.
I mean, they're getting real good. Like now my knee, they did 2 little slits and then they went in with this tiny thing inside, snipped and fixed it.
I'm good on
good to go.
I got wisdom teeth and that's it.
So if they're like you'll lose your arm if you don't have surgery, you won't do it?
Well,
are you talking like you're not gonna get a facelift anytime soon?
Yeah, I'm not. Don't expect me to get liposuction or something.
You're not gonna get a hair transplant if it starts
no
going.
butt lifts. No presenting butt lifts.
No tit jobs.
Definitely not that. I've never had tits in my life, so I'm good on that.
I know, but one day you might feel like you need a set.
I think my fat does not disperse to my upper body.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
So it's not going to go there at any point. You're saying I might want
like you might
tits.
Want titties. Well, so then you gotta get them because you've never had them.
Well, some people thought I was getting a sex change with my poster or the picture I posted.
Yeah, that's their go-to.
I've never would have thought of that in my life. I can't tell you if I've ever seen a guy in a fucking hospital.
With the amount of shit that you talk, and it's like a lot of it is like that related kind of humor.
I don't talk shit about fucking being
dude. That one reaction to the dance by Hrithik Roshan was enough.
What did I say?
There was enough like homophobic jokes.
You know what's
throughout that.
You know what's fucked up is if we react to that today, I'd probably give a whole different.
Yeah.
Well, now that I've seen the movie first.
Now there's context.
Not only that, I've also been thinking, just when we do our studio redesign, we need to design like a theater space. Because I've been editing, there's been certain times where I'm like editing something we've done, and through the editing process I'm listening to it with like actual speakers that actually fucking sound good. No offense to the Apple MacBook, whatever, but it's nothing compared to some good speakers. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, this is probably the level that would have made me get into it, like listening to sound design or whatever.
So you're saying we should put the headphones back on?
Maybe, potentially, or just have the sound, like experience
like
the
have
air.
legit speakers?
Yeah, I think and then on a screen that looks good.
Right.
Without fucking glare.
Like this 13
No. It has nothing to do with that. It has the glare. It's the glare.
Yeah.
You could fucking see like our reflection in it and shit. Like sometimes. Like,
well, that's what makes us a part of the reaction, man. We're in it.
I guess, but it doesn't come. They don't know that. That's what I'm saying. People don't know that.
Right.
They just think, oh look, he's just being a piece of shit again. That's probably what it is, though.
Oh man. On to the next thing. So you didn't watch Watchmen.
Nope.
And I find it fascinating the reason why you didn't watch it.
I can't even really tell you the reason why. I came up with about 85 before we started rolling, and I don't really even know which is the right one. I don't know if I just don't care, because I watched the first trailer, and I was excited for it, and then now I'm like,
This seems to be a recurring
Indifferent.
theme with you and shows, though, in general.
yeah, I haven't watched TV in fucking however long.
Yeah.
The Game of Thrones is the last show that and that's because you put time into it and you want to see how it ends now. So, but nothing's exciting.
Like, it's hard. It'll be easier for you to finish a show rather than to start a new show.
I think it's harder to do either. I think they're on the same exact
I mean,
level.
it's definitely time consuming for sure.
Not even that. Like, I watched the first episode of Ozark the other day. I'm like, okay. Didn't bother watching another one. Even though I know that you can't really judge a whole series based on one fucking episode, let alone the first one.
Yeah, but are you saying it didn't grab you?
No.
Are you just...
I would watch episode 2. I like Narcos. I didn't even start up season 2.
I haven't watched any of that.
But I liked Pablo Escobar,
Yeah.
like that angle, and I was into I watched the first season. Fucking haven't watched Stranger Things. And we can list shows that I've started that I haven't finished, and for Netflix, it's like all day. House of Cards haven't finished.
I haven't finished that.
Mindhunter haven't finished.
Never started.
Fucking Orange is the New Black.
Never started.
I'm just thinking these are like the Stranger Things. What else?
Definitely finished that one.
I haven't even finished the second. I haven't started the second season.
You want to finish shows, you gotta get married, bro. Because that's how I finish shows.
I don't. But see,
Stranger Things, I finished
that
it.
makes me definitely want to just avoid that all entirely. I don't know. It's just, it's weird. It's just I don't care about TV as much as I used to. I think TV's gotten so good that a lot of people who used to watch movies are now just watching TV.
Definitely.
So it's more rewarding for me to watch a movie, be done with it in one sitting, and move on with my life. Since I've stopped watching TV, I've had a much bigger appreciation for movies again in this time period.
Hipster, bro. Where's your fucking record player?
I'm just saying, like maybe
I don't
Disney,
fucking download
maybe
music anymore. I only buy vinyl, so if it doesn't come
maybe
out on vinyl,
Disney,
I will
maybe
listen to it.
Disney will change that in a few weeks with the Mandalorian. I hear the Mandalorian's good.
You're not gonna watch it though.
I will watch it as Star Wars for sure. I'll watch.
You'll watch the whole thing. You think so?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, we'll
Star
see.
Wars and the Avengers.
I will
shit.
hold you to it. I will hold you to it.
Dude, the amount of money they're putting into it, it's basically gonna be like a movie a week. I'm almost like, I'll watch those. It's Star Wars. I gotta, and it's during the Clone Wars or right around that time period.
We'll see,
or right
man.
after.
Okay, I believe you. Maybe we'll.
I like Star Wars.
Maybe we'll actually talk about it.
I have no problem with Star Wars.
No, you do have a problem with Star Wars.
No, I don't.
You have a problem with The Last Jedi.
Maybe.
You're pretty big
Maybe I don't
problem.
know. I haven't seen the movie. I've only seen the movie once. It's hard for me to judge a movie. I've only
But
seen
you
it once.
I
started. That's another movie. I tried
to.
to start it again a few months ago, and then I stopped it just because I was like, I'm gonna go to sleep right now and I'll watch this later. I haven't gone back to this. Is just going back to the theme of me starting things and not finishing them. But I will say from that first scene, which I remember liked in the theater anyway. But for the first time seeing it on the TV, which is kind of interesting, it felt so much like a good, like 2019 version of like Empire Strikes Back, but from like the production design,
Right.
the way the comedy was being done, like the humor. For whatever reason, it was. I don't want to say it was working, but it was like I saw it. Whereas in the theater, the screen was so big, it didn't feel that way. Because for me,
Yeah, because
Star
your first
Wars
exposure to
was
it
on the TV.
Right.
So like when I was watching it on the TV,
For most of us.
I'm like, oh, okay. It feels like a Star Wars
Yeah.
movie right now. Whereas on the big screen, it felt like a movie. But I like Force Awakens.
Like
so.
I vaguely remember watching Return of the Jedi in the theaters, and I was so young it doesn't matter. But I remember but I don't remember. I definitely didn't watch A New Hope unless they re-released it like years later, or Empire. Those are definitely like VHS rentals because you couldn't buy them. You know, you could.
That's
rent
what I'm
them
saying. So you fucking
Yeah.
the first time you watch it,
on
it's
a
like
4x3 on
right,
top of that.
not even in widescreen.
Yeah.
But when I
watched
watched Return or whatever Last Jedi,
it felt more familiar when you watched it.
I was like, I saw it. I
Yeah.
actually saw. I was like, this is cool. That's what made me want to go rewatch it, like continue watching it, but I never did.
Now, are you gonna watch a new Force Awakens and Last Jedi before?
No.
No, you're just gonna go.
I mean,
in,
maybe, probably. I probably
go and
should.
see what happens with the
I
Last
probably
Jedi.
should. They had a whole like 3-day screening
Or was
thing.
it Rise of the? No, it's Rise of the fucking
Skywalker. Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with that. We'll see what happens with that.
It's J.J. Abrams, so.
Anyways, I want to talk about Watchmen, not necessarily the show itself. I liked it. I enjoyed it. You didn't watch it, but have you been like? Are you so off social media that you're not even paying attention to like the shit?
Yeah,
that
I
people
heard
are
they
saying
did the
about
Black
it?
Wall Street thing, and I think I didn't read it. I didn't read it. Thank you for saying that.
I never fucking knew about it.
you.
I watched that scene and I was like, what the fuck? And it was disturbing.
Well, don't say anything because I don't know anything
Well, I'm
about
not going to say what happened, but it was uncomfortable.
I know about Black Wall Street.
It was uncomfortable watching it, and I was like, Google, like, what the fuck is this? All I put in was like the city where it takes place, and then shit's like, yeah, shit really happened. And I was like, what in the entire fuck, dude? And nobody talks about this in school or anything like that. I mean, I guess, do you really want to tell elementary school kids or high school kids about this shit?
Yes. I remember getting into an argument with a black girl in high school about it.
But she didn't know about it?
No, not about this, but about what you just said.
Oh, about knowing about like atrocities like this? Like apparently like the city, like Oklahoma, where I guess it happened in multiple places, but Tulsa, Oklahoma is like the biggest place. I guess they like trying to erase it from existence.
Yeah.
And
So
that's why
what do you
want to talk
about? What do you want to talk about?
No, just that fucking opening scene.
Because hold on. You said, "Are you really off social media that much?"
Oh,
why did you say that?
Oh, because the amount of like fucking of my white anti-SJW like anti-politically correct friends who are like upset about it.
What are they mad about?
Well, they're basically saying that
it didn't happen.
That the show, no, that the show is anti-white, like because of that.
Oh well.
Yeah, and that's how
it could be, but that doesn't mean that didn't happen.
Right. Well, I don't think it's that sequence in a general because it leads into other stuff afterward. It leads into the future of 2019 and where things are in this fucking made-up universe. But it's a small. I guess your friends haven't been, or they either haven't watched it or they're not talking about it. But yeah, I've like people are like.
No, I know people are talking about it.
People are like bombing. They're bombing Rotten Tomatoes on it. Whatever. They're review bombing it.
All I was gonna say is and then you beat me to the punch is that. Whatever people are talking about, I guarantee you a majority of them never heard about it until they watched whatever it was, or started to hear about it.
I sure.
And then you said it before I even.
Yeah.
That's what I was
talking to my brother yesterday, and he had no idea either.
Yeah.
He's like, what?
That's the good thing about going to school in Compton, because I learned it in Compton.
Well, that's the funny. All the black people I know, they all know about that shit. Every single one of them, and me, no fucking clue. And they didn't bother to.
And I still can't say the N-word.
Right.
Just kidding. It was a joke.
Oh man. Oh dude, it's so funny.
They talk about it at USC too, though. But my teacher.
What class?
It was a history class, but with film. American history and film. I forgot the teacher's name. You had to buy his book, and they talked about it.
So I had the class, there's the political films class with the big black guy.
Yeah, no, I never had him.
He was awesome. He walks into class 30 minutes late, does his lecture, leaves, you watch the movie. That was that. Then we had to write. We didn't write any papers. I don't think we wrote a paper. It was just take the test. That was that.
He's supposed to be one of the best professors
on campus. Was great, dude.
I never had him.
He was so good. I'm more than willing to go and audit his class. Like to just go sit in and listen to his lecture. Because the lecture's like, I learned so much shit from him. But I could imagine.
Not about Black Wall Street, though.
Well, because it wasn't about that. But I could imagine if he did like
my white teacher taught about it.
If he taught like a black. Well, it's funny. I took this black studies class. That was one of my electives. And it was about. It was like about like racism in the U.S. or maybe it wasn't. I don't remember. It was basically black studies, and it started from antebellum era up until modern era, and it went through like all the social movements and stuff that happened. And she didn't talk about that either. I mean, I guess a social movement didn't necessarily spring from those attacks.
It's not. How do I say this without being offensive? Because it wasn't written about, it's just not historically looked at as a big deal.
Well, I could see that if it didn't launch a sort of movement, and if you look at the time, it didn't launch a movement, that I could see why, like, yeah, you wouldn't talk about it in that class either. Because it wasn't like, Brown versus the Board of Education, stuff like that, launched like protests.
It's not historic.
Yeah.
There's so many of those stories, though.
Right.
But there's so many stories like that, I guarantee you, about other races as well. So it's just this whole thing about just history. But then it's like, now we live in the world where everything's getting documented. So now everything seems like a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, okay, well, what was a big deal then that's been... So it's just... I don't know. Maybe that's why I don't want to watch Watchmen.
Well, I mean,
maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't want to watch Watchmen.
Why? Because the politics?
Because it's just people... What does that have to do with the fucking show? You haven't seen the... Like, that's one of the reasons why I gave you that I don't want to watch... Because you asked me if I was going to watch it, and I said I was waiting. And I meant waiting to watch the whole series once it's done. How can you say it's fucking anti-white when you've seen one episode of a 9-episode season? It's stupid. So for me, I used to do that, and I'm just so over it. I don't care about that anymore because it's, I don't know, maybe it's doing our own thing where you finally see like, yeah, you can't really review things one at a time, you know, with Star Wars. Star Wars is the perfect example, and maybe it was The Last Jedi that made me realize this. I don't know what this whole series is going to be. I could look at episode 3 or episode 9 could be so good that it makes everything about everything that came before it even better.
Ties it together.
And then all of a sudden,
right?
Because you know what, it's the one, I forgot where I saw this, but like people...
Well, like when Empire Strikes Back came out, it got panned.
And that's what made me think...
And now it's considered the best of the trilogy.
That's what made me think that people like me are stupid to just not... just fucking, who cares what I have to say? Just watch the fucking thing and then talk about it. Not this week-by-week bullshit.
But I'm with you, like, it was just a pilot. It was enough for me to want to watch next week's episode. Like, I'm hooked now. Like, I want to see it.
Which is good, you know? but no one's talking about that.
No. I mean, there's a few people are, but I don't know. We're in outrage culture, man. And is it reverse outrage culture when conservative white people are the ones that are outraged? You know, I don't know.
No, because
they're outrage culture.
No, because it's outrage across the board. I think it's dumb that people think it's. I don't know. White people can be just as mad as any other race. Otherwise, all you're doing is doing what the fucking North and South Pole do every fucking however many thousands of years. Just keep flipping.
Yeah.
Is that how you want to do it? Now the left is on top. Okay, we get to run the world, and now too much left, so now the right has to come, and then but it's the same.
It's kind of what we are doing.
Eventually, slavery will have become so far distant that you can't latch onto those same ideals anymore.
Maybe.
No, there's no way. There's no way. No way. I think the maybe argument disappears over time. Because
if that group doesn't advance,
there's no way. There's no way. There's no way. In America, there's no way. There's no way.
I don't agree with that.
America would have to go full tilt one way, 100%, straight up.
But I think we're seeing that now.
No, we're not.
Absolutely.
We don't live in fucking Nazi Germany.
We don't live in Nazi Germany, but
I think you need to be in Nazi Germany. When the government starts taking people out, literally killing them and throwing them in prison for no reason, and I'm not talking about drugs, drug war, and all that shit. I mean, actually doing what Nazi Germany went and oh, you're black, you're brown, in jail. Not if you're an illegal brown person and they fucking decide to raid your house because they got a tip and you don't have your fucking papers and they send you home, which is fucking illegal.
Mm-hmm.
If they want to target people and
take... That's why people think you're a conservative.
No. Just there's a difference though.
No,
there's a difference.
I'm with you.
Because there is a legality to being here legally or not. I think they're dicks if they want to enforce that because America's all full of immigrants and the immigration process sucks. But if they do it and they get caught...
Them's the breaks.
But if they don't do shit and they're legal and they get sent to fucking wherever the fuck prison because they look a certain way, that's where they start to completely slow down the progress, in my opinion. I think right now it's African Americans' turn to really prosper.
Mm-hmm.
Latinos haven't had their moment yet, but then also at the same time, it's like, should we really be? What's the answer? Should we be looking for a handout? Should we be championing for more representation? I'm arguing against the idea that you think that over time you're saying maybe. Maybe my art reasons right now are all over the place. Fine, but at the end of the day, What matters
I'm
is
saying that
over time.
there is a possibility that there's a fucking ceiling, a glass ceiling for brown and black people that will be kept in place.
I don't believe that. Look what Tyler Perry just did.
That's one person. That's
doesn't matter. That's the whole American dream. Is you strive to be that guy.
That's an exception. That's not the rule.
Did he come from money?
No, but that's an exception. That's not the rule. And what did he do? He fucking exploits black people to become where he's at. That's. I mean,
I don't think he exploits black people.
I mean,
I think
ask your black filmmaker friends how they feel about Tyler Perry. How many of them are like,
ask me,
champion? You're not a black filmmaker.
I don't need to be.
Yeah, you do.
We've always fucking respected the hustle. It's not exploitation. It's knowing your audience.
Okay.
It's true. Maybe if we knew our audience better, we would do better.
Well, I'm just saying
he knows how to play the system.
When you're making stereotypical films made for the lowest common denominator of your population.
That's okay.
Okay.
Because you know why it's okay?
But
because
you're not. Okay,
are you defending Scorsese and Coppola? No, you're not. You're on Marvel's side. And that's the exact argument. What is Marvel and what are they doing? They're making it for the masses. Yeah, they'll throw some highbrow stuff in there on occasion. They'll throw some deep comic book stuff in there on occasion. But they're going for the lowest rung. And what's the lowest rung? I don't think so. They're not children are the lowest rung because they're dumb.
Yeah, I don't
they're dumb.
It's not the same.
Children are dumb. Children will not understand. They will not understand deep fucking Easter egg references.
The reason why the Marvel comics, the Marvel films do so well is because everybody's into them.
That's what I just said.
Everybody, not just the kids.
Because they do throw the deep they throw these like things in there.
But that's the thing is the argument.
They'll throw the John Hughes music for the fucking.
The argument against the Tyler Perry films is they're targeting specific types of people.
You know why? It's hard for me to have a discussion with you about this unless you tell me what Tyler Perry films you've seen.
I mean the Medea films. I've only seen one of them, so I can't tell you all of them.
But besides that,
I haven't seen his other films, but the other films don't make the money. The Medea films are the ones that are making his money, man.
Nope. It's not true. TV is what makes his money. But if we want to take it to films, his movies are made cheap. That just died. But I'll just keep talking anyway. The movies are made cheap. And not only are they made cheap, it's like the Joker, basically. He has Joker movies where he's spending $5-10 million.
The profitability on them is high.
They return 30.
Like Blumhouse films.
And it's all his money, though. Mm-hmm. So it's 100% like Blumhouse. But when you say exploitative and stuff like that, and you haven't seen his movies, other than one, and that's 100% stereotype. It's like the Big Mama's House. That's the whole like the mammy character. Like that's it. I'm not arguing with you. That's also existed since filmmaking has existed, especially for black filmmakers with Oscar Micheaux and other historical like 30s and 40s black filmmakers in the silent era, which is a whole other topic for a whole other day. But his other movies, they are appealing to his audience. Mm-hmm. They like drama. They like when fucking so-and-so's baby mama does X, Y, or Z, or so-and-so cheats on such and such and whatever. That's what they like because it appeals to that fucking very primal urge of like, it's a love story. They're supposed to be in love, and then this other thing happened. It's simple. But so are Marvel movies. 100% so are Marvel movies.
I mean, I guess.
They are. You know they are.
I mean, I think it takes a certain type of person to make a
fucking
good Marvel
nerd.
film.
A nerd?
No, I don't know.
What's the most complicated Marvel movie?
The problem with Scorsese's and Coppola's comments.
Let's talk about the movies first. What's the most complicated Marvel movie in your opinion?
Probably Winter Soldier.
Okay. And why is that?
It's just got a lot of shit going on.
So like that, just because you have to kind of know what the
narrative is not as straightforward. Yeah,
you have to know what the series is about too, right? You kind of have to see other ones, right? But at its heart, what is Winter Soldier about?
I mean, it's about Steve Rogers finding his best friend after fucking a long time, and then figuring out he did some fucked up shit trying to keep him alive.
Okay, so how many movies are like Winter Soldier out of the 20?
I mean, I think all the films have different things about them. That's the thing.
Well, yeah, of course. But
if you want to talk shit, like, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is a very complex film. I think fucking Thor Ragnarok is a very complex film once you watch it again. I think fucking the Spider-Man Homecoming has a lot of complexities to it. If you watch it for pure entertainment value, yeah, you can get through it very simply. But if you go watch it again and really jump into it, there's a lot of stuff going on. And that's why you can rewatch it, because there's a lot of stuff going on.
I don't think it's any different. I'm listening to you. I'm trying to hear what you're saying, but your arguments are just justifying why it's hard for me to take your criticisms against Tyler Perry, like have them be different.
I'm the wrong person to even talk about. I shouldn't be talking about that.
Well, I'm just saying, like,
I'd love to have Aaron Lee Dowell come in here.
He's appealing to his audience, and Marvel is appealing to their audience. And when you say everybody loves them, that might be true for a movie like Avengers and things like that. But why does everybody latch onto it? Because they're simple. If they were too complicated, they were too heady.
I disagree with that, though.
You can't, because you can't name me an example where there's a heady Oscar movie that's fucking grossed $2 billion.
I don't want to turn this into a fucking Goodfellas versus.
Well, why not? Because there's nothing else we have on the docket to talk about.
Because there's like nothing. There's like what's complicated about Goodfellas? If you really think about it.
There's no narrative. There's no fucking. There is no narrative.
It's based on a fucking
There's
autobiography.
There's no villains. So what? But that's it. None of these comic book movies are based on autobiographies. None of the Medea movies they're scripted.
I'm saying there's a story there. There's a beginning and an end.
There's a story to us. Of course, there's a beginning and an end because the movie starts and the movie ends.
But what I'm getting
there's no villain.
Goodfellas did well with mainstream audiences.
Medea movies, as well as fucking superhero movies, are classical Hollywood narratives.
Okay.
Whether it's Winter Soldier, Infinity War, fucking Endgame. They're all classic Hollywood narratives.
You're taking it to a different level though. And that's what I'm saying. You're right. I haven't watched enough of them to really speak on it because people have a problem with it. Spike Lee has a problem with it for a reason. Why does he have a problem with it? Because he's making simple movies? That's not why he has a problem with it.
With what?
With the Tyler Perry movies.
He got a fucking soundstage named after him. They were just together.
Okay. Spike Lee's been very critical of him.
People change.
A lot. Okay, I'm just saying. Yeah, because after a certain
I'm just
point,
saying, Spike
people
Lee's,
are critical. I mean, Jay-Z's making tons of money. A lot of people are critical of him because of the way he's made his money as well, dude.
People are critical of him right now because he went and helped the NFL out.
Yeah,
because people fucking talk. This is my whole thing.
I'm saying,
what does it even matter?
With the community.
Would you love to make if you could make films about Puerto Ricans or Mexicans or any Latinos with Latinos, and you could fucking have a studio that's bigger than fucking Disney Studios, and you could do whatever the fuck you want, and you had to do it because you had to make some fucking whatever, some cultural type films. You're telling me you wouldn't do that?
You're asking someone who's fucking overworked and underpaid to answer that question. Of course I would do that right now.
Yeah, but even if you were paid well and you had a job that was fucking like, I make $150,000 a year, you would still want to do that.
It just depends on the movies and the tropes that are in the films, man. That's the thing.
Well, now Tyler Perry can do whatever the fuck he wants.
But he's not, is he?
I don't know.
I
personally think he is doing whatever the fuck he wants. I just think whatever the fuck he wants is in that range right now. Because he's doing TV deals, he's doing everything. Tyler Perry is the person you should look up to as a fucking budding filmmaker, at least in terms of taking everything as an investment into yourself. He branded himself. He never fucking once backed down from not branding himself. And you can hate him for it, not you, but people you can talk shit. You can say he's Medea, he's this, he's that.
Well,
look where he's at.
I would like to.
He has the last.
I would like to bring someone in from that community to talk about it and tell us why they have an issue with it, because it's not about the success thing. Because that's all you're breaking it down to is, well, he's made all this money, so it's all great.
It is.
I mean, it's great for him.
Yes.
There's a reason why people have issues with his films.
It's called America.
They're just haters.
It's called America. If you're selfish to yourself, you help others. Because now he's employing more fucking people of color, I'm sure, than a lot of these other places are. In order to keep this beast alive, how many careers he's potentially starting and growing because of that? Yeah, okay, he had to make the money off the backs of doing that shit. Okay, I'm not saying that fucking there wasn't a period of time.
It's not even the capitalism aspect of it. I see what you're saying. It's like Amos and Andy. Amos and Andy was like one of the most racist, stereotypical TV shows ever. However, when it got canceled, it affected black people because the majority of the people working on the show were black. So a lot of people working in TV lost their jobs because of the outcries against the show being racist and stereotypical. So there's all these people are like, I don't give a shit if I'm working on this racist shit because I'm getting paid, I'm paying my bills, the Christmas is good, we're eating good. There's that aspect to it. So people are getting employed and people are benefiting from it.
I think you're missing one thing though. Maybe I'm not saying it, and so I'll try to say it now. He grew to this point not by himself. Yes, he stuck to his guns. He did the stuff he may have wanted to do, etc., by his rules, blah, blah, blah. But he didn't fund this. People keep coming to support him, which means he's making certain people happy. And there's nothing fucking wrong with that at all. Because it's enough people over these many years to get him to this point where now literally has a studio a lot bigger than Warner Brothers and Disney and all these other things. So it doesn't matter if it's every single fucking black person on planet fucking Earth or in America or whatever is like, there's enough to where he's making millions that support him now.
Well, the argument,
what is wrong with supporting that audience?
The argument comes down to how much damage is it doing, if any at all. And I know you don't believe that media causes any sort of damage.
No, I don't believe that at all. What are you talking about?
I mean,
I'm saying, but if let's put a number on it. Let's say it's 10 million people.
But I'm saying,
let's say it's 10 million people.
Okay.
That's his audience. Mm-hmm. If he had to do a GoFundMe, 10 million people would show up and they'd help him out, right? Mm-hmm. 10 million. That's bigger than most YouTube channels, right? And if they're actually engaging in his content and they actually like what he does and they took away, maybe this story is personal to them because they don't watch movies. You know, they're not as pretentious as you and I about they don't give a shit. Maybe that story is just someone they knew down the street and that affected them in a positive way, right? Whatever. It's 10 million. What right does anyone have to say that he can't entertain those 10 million people? That he needs to have the responsibility to worry about the other 30 or 40
it's
million?
It's not about rights.
I'm asking, but that's what you're being critical
people
of
have
him.
the rights to be critical of it.
They do.
Like, look at it this way.
But he shouldn't have to change or adjust himself.
I'm going to use the WASP criticism of the inner city right now. Who are the people in the inner city that they look up to?
I don't understand your question. Who's the they?
The people in the inner city community. The people that are living in poverty, the people that can't seem to get out of it. Who do they look up to in that community?
I don't know. It's a very general question.
I mean,
guys,
I'm saying
girls.
the waspy person would tell you it's because all they're doing is looking up to drug dealers or these rappers pretending to be drug dealers, talking about cars, talking about jewelry.
I don't think that's true anymore. I feel like basketball players or fucking athletes are number one still.
Well,
assuming you're into it. Assuming you're into it though. You might not be into basketball. You might be a kid now growing up where you look up to fucking Ninja, the gamer.
You might be.
And that's very foreign to you and me.
You might be, but
your son very well.
If you're the guy on the block with all the money and you got all the girls and all the cars, and he's not going to school, that might be the guy you're looking up to as well.
Maybe.
You know?
But TV...
It's a product of the environment.
TV has also tainted that a little bit, too. There's a lot of things... There's a lot more media to counteract that as well.
Well, there's also... The big assumption is that people consume...
But what does that have to do with... But what does that have to do with Tyler Perry?
It just has to do with if you keep on watching that same stereotype on screen and that's what entertains you, you don't necessarily grow from that. And you might fall right into that. That's the whole issue.
Which is why...
I think that's why people are so critical of it, because
This is why I defend Martin Scorsese. If I had to fucking pick a side, I think he's wrong.
There's no...
Just please.
No doubt in my mind.
Okay. Well,
You were...
See, you read the headline. That's what you do. You read the headline, and then...
I read the fucking article.
Yeah, and if you would have read the article, you would have seen that it was a shitty question, and he said 3 or 4 words about the fucking thing. And they went with it. But if you actually break down what he fucking said, are they movies? Yes, they play in the movie theater. Whoever said that is right. Mm-hmm. They're in the fucking... It's a certain type of movies. But what he's saying, and he's always said this, and this is what I agree with him on, you need to understand what is being made, what you're watching, what it is, and I don't mean just genre, but in order for you to grow... To expect more from Tyler Perry, to expect more from Marvel, cinema needs to be taught from birth right away. Because it doesn't just stem from movies, it stems from political campaigns, commercials, whatever. You need to understand if they're manipulating footage one way or the other, or they're just adding audio and very simplistic filmmaking techniques, right? And he's saying that these Marvel movies are getting away from that because it's just eye candy. It's just that, right? You have enough of those movies, you don't really challenge your audience. I'm not saying that he's right about that he shouldn't exist or anything, because he didn't say any of that. But what I'm saying
is... He did make the comment about they should put less of them in the theater. or that they need to do something about putting somebody in the
That's
mouth.
capitalism, and that's his voice to say that. I personally think that I just wish, how do I say this? We live in LA, so it's very hard for us to have a real opinion about it. Genuinely. Because we can watch whatever movie we want pretty much. We might have to go to ArcLight for the first, but we can go to ArcLight to watch The Lighthouse, to watch these fucking, The Parasite, like these super art house or indie or fucking foreign film, whatever the fuck. We can watch that. But for the majority of the country, that's not true. So, in reality, something like Scorsese saying this, now, did he get, did he have a whole conference about this? No, he asked, I think it's stupid of the reporters, personally. I blame the reporters on this whole fucking thing. And this is a whole social media thing. Because A, Scorsese doesn't make comic book movies, so who gives a shit? Scorsese's doing his own thing. If anything, Scorsese's capitalizing on this for The Irishman when it comes out next month. And that the whole fucking people fighting back and forth, because I love that. And Coppola too. Why did they have to ask him? He's getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. Why do they have to ask him about that? Because they know people can fucking write about it.
It's definitely a clickbait article.
But for people to sit, like me and you, we can say Scorsese's wrong, Coppola's wrong, da-da-da-da-da. But if either of them were sitting right here and they were telling you how to make a movie, us how to make a movie, we'd be like, get the fuck out of here, right? We would never say that. They made The Godfather, Goodfellas, and everything. They're like the masters, the gatekeepers of cinema. They might not be relevant anymore in people's eyes, right? Because they haven't made, like Coppola hasn't made a movie, I think in over 10 years, and hasn't made a movie that people have actually enjoyed in longer than that. And Scorsese, he still makes his movies, but they're still who they are.
Absolutely.
I don't know, maybe you disagree, but I think...
would I tell Martin Scorsese to get out of my fucking house? Of course not.
Well, I mean, but you wouldn't tell him you don't know anything about movies.
I wouldn't say that either. I didn't say that in the first place.
Not you, I'm saying, but people are making these arguments.
I mean, that's a stupid argument.
That's what I'm saying. It's all press, journalism, fucking social media.
If you want to call him, pretentious and whatever, that's fine. But to say that
he is pretentious, but he knows it because that's his life.
Right.
He doesn't know anything other than
he's a student of film. He's going to die a student of film.
That's what it is,
and that's fine.
But I see.
I do honestly think that part of it is it's getting harder and harder for him to put a fucking movie out. Now I mean age has to do with it as well, but I just the amount of eyes on one Marvel film are more than the entire catalog of Scorsese films.
Yeah.
And I think...
I can't even argue with that.
And there's definitely a generation now of kids who have no idea who he is, And
I think that's an issue. I don't think you need to know who he is, but it's like you said, if the ghetto kid who has the baller car or whatever on the street, he's living the stereotype, and if they're watching movies like Tyler Perry, how do you grow? That's what Scorsese's argument is. He didn't say that. And maybe I'm attributing, I'm making this shit up. But I've heard him on numerous occasions talk about the importance of the language of cinema. Mm-hmm. That you need to know these things. Even if you don't want to ever watch a movie in your life, whatever the fuck, or make movies, we always consume media. It's so easy. So if you don't know what cinema is capable of, and you don't know how things can manipulate you, whatever, then you don't really know what bad cinema is. That's what it comes down to. And I'm not saying that Marvel movies are bad.
If you watch comic book movies, you know what bad cinema is because it's called DC.
But they couldn't tell you why. When you have people say similar things, okay, let me put it this way. If all you said about Batman vs. Superman was, it's dark. I didn't like it because it was dark.
Yeah.
You don't know about movies. That could be a complaint. Visually it looks, because you say it's dark, but you can say, well, it's because the visuals look dark. The storyline is dark, but it doesn't need to be because of da-da-da-da-da. Like, dark could mean a bunch of things. But to some people, dark just means one fucking thing.
Right, the color.
Or not even color. Just like, it was just dark. They don't even know. They just say it just felt dark. That's not knowing film. That doesn't, and I think that's what I'm saying. If you learn this young, you learn your language, you learn mathematics, you learn science. It should be a part of STEM. And instead of arts, it should be film.
See, I kind of feel like people know more about film now than they ever have before.
I don't agree with that.
I really think they do. I
don't.
I think more and more people, because there's so much access to it and how
that is true.
cheap that
what
people
I think,
they might not know all the technical terms and stuff
this is why they
to
don't know
express
film.
themselves.
This is why they don't know film.
They know when they're getting played.
Film is getting rebooted right now. I believe this. If I had to make my doctorate on fucking something, I believe that filmmaking is being rebooted right now. That we're in 2.0 right now. Because of what you just said.
How fucking dare you?
No, I think you're right. But I don't think it's for the reasons...
Never compare this to Rajnikant again, bro. He's the king.
I'm just saying, what I'm saying is, film is going... Because you look at YouTube editing, and you look at what people like on YouTube, those people probably wouldn't be making features right now. And that's I don't mean any offense to that. It's just the jump cutting and the fucking... That is techniques. Those are techniques that were experimented with in the early 1900s because they didn't know fucking any different. Because they were just doing it. They had access to this equipment. They could make these movies, and they were just doing it. And that's what's going on right now in the last 10 years.
That supports your, not theory, but your comment of kids are dumb. So
when it comes to cinema, I think now, of course, there's enthusiasts. There's people who are gonna watch like Film Riot and these like shows that they look good. They put production design behind them. You know, whenever the fuck we decide to make things, same thing with us because we studied movies. We know how we can manipulate the audience in one way or the other because we understand. You know, you shoot from a low angle, you shoot from a high angle, you light this way, whatever. But there's a lot of people out there who don't know that stuff. And if they did, their content would be even better. And
but I guess one of the big issues, let's just say Pixar, for example. I feel like Pixar, and when I say it attracts a large audience, I think the reason why it works is because there's stuff in there for kids, but there's also stuff that adults can watch and be like, because there's agree or disagree.
That's Disney.
There are cartoons out there that you watch for little kids where you're fucking pulling your eyelashes out of your fucking face because they're so bad.
Yeah.
No.
And that
because they're made for little kids and
then,
they're not thinking about the adults that have to watch it with them.
But then you watch a cartoon. You watch cartoons in the 30s and 40s and 50s.
But those weren't made for kids.
I know, yeah. But I'm saying you could throw that shit on for a kid now.
Right.
Tom and Jerry and fucking the Roadrunner and shit. You can turn those on right now.
Because they're still watching the kid stuff.
And I guarantee you.
But they're also like, there's also the adult subject matter that's going on that's under like the undertones.
Yes. But, I mean, I don't know if you've done this, but I'm sure Alessandro would watch Tom and Jerry.
Nah, I can't. The 4x3 bothers me so much. I can't fucking do it.
Not you.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Like
it's not about you.
That's the reason why I don't put it on because like the two black boxes.
But I think that's a mistake. I think actually you should watch those with him, because what you'll fucking quickly realize is there's a reason why that these are so good, because they told a story in like 3 to 5 minutes. This is why Spielberg's a great filmmaker, by the way. In case anyone was out, this is more towards the audience listening than you specifically, but. If you didn't know, if you always wondered why Spielberg was a great filmmaker, start watching old cartoons. Because he'll just pull from these old fucking cartoons. In terms of stakes and building and constantly raising the tension and shit, you watch a Roadrunner cartoon with it's just fucking the Coyote. No, not Wile E. What is it? Is Wile E. Coyote?
Yeah, that's his adversary.
Wile E. Coyote and fucking the Roadrunner. And you watch how, like, you'll have suspense moments. Where he has an anvil or something and whatever the fuck happens. I don't know. And then it constantly builds. I was watching at Tarantino's theater a few weeks ago. I watched Heat again. And they showed Mr. Magoo. And it's like this fucking blind old man, right? For people who don't know. And he's just constantly solving crimes inadvertently.
Right.
Because he's blind as shit.
He's kind of an idiot.
He's kind of an idiot. Because he's not really a detective or whatever. He's just Mr. Magoo. I don't even think he's a detective. I just think he's a rich white guy who's blind. And that episode was he wanted to fucking sell his house. And he was living on the Hollywood Hills. And then something like this. And then like people come to rob him, whatever. And he's like, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
Eventually the house falls off the hill and lands on the bottom. And he doesn't know. And he's like, oh, this is perfect house. And he like buys it again. But it's his own fucking house. But you watch that and you break it down and you were to adapt that to some other type of movie, just in terms of the beats.
Right.
Not in terms of like the act one-to-one, but the beats, the story beats. It'd be a great fucking, because it's like Charlie Chaplin movies. It's like Buster Keaton films. Those are so simple. They don't need that. It's visual cinema. You understand what's going on at all times. There's certain Buster Keaton movies where you might actually like laugh your ass off. Doesn't matter how fucking old it is. That there's certain, I guarantee you, I could show people certain Buster Keaton movies or scenes or fucking Charlie Chaplin scenes where they'll start laughing. It doesn't matter if they're fucking Asian, black, whatever part of the world, they'll get it. Because the stakes are simple, the characters are simple, but it's about the cinema and like the theatrical stuff. It's just like theater. I'm just saying. But we learned that basic shit where it's ingrained in us.
It's funny how you're supporting your theory about films needing to be more complex with films that were super simple. Are they complex because of simplicity?
No. My argument is we've learned that foundational element through theater of like very simple cat and mouse types games.
Right. That as human beings, we know
those stories.
We've learned that at least that much.
At least that much. So
right.
we can so when the films came out, we registered with it right away because it was like a callback to this simplistic shit. And then film starts to evolve, and then the 60s come, and people are experimenting with editing, Rashomon, all these fucking movies that, whether or not Citizen Kane, whether or not you like them or not, they're the greatest movies of all time compared to fucking early 1900 cinema, right?
Right.
The fucking Lumiere's at the train station, literally a train pulling in. Citizen Kane is a million times better than that fucking movie.
Technology allowed them to...
It's better than The Great Train Robbery. Like, doesn't matter if you hate the movie or not, it's a better fucking movie.
Right.
But you can't sit there and make that argument that Apocalypse Now is not a better movie than fucking Citizen Kane, because I can make the argument that it's not, even though historically it would be looked at otherwise. I mean, we can name any other movie against Citizen Kane. Fucking, to me, Social Network's a better movie than Citizen Kane is, and it's a similar story. But it's complex for a lot of people to like really know how to make that, to how to reproduce that, to like understand what's going on. You might get manipulated to you before you forget, but that's why kids don't do that. That's why, you see stills of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Tarantino's movie, where he's filming on the freeway, and there's fucking just huge lights spaced throughout the freeway.
Right.
Most people would just see that and assume that they just fucking put a camera on the car and just drove around. Like, that's another... I'm not saying everyone needs to know that.
Right. That's actually my follow-up question. Do people need to know about that?
No, but it does help to know some basics. I think it does, and beyond just a simple story.
I mean, I feel like people need to know that nothing you watch is as simple as it looks on
like
screen.
Reality TV.
That's for sure.
Reality TV is the biggest one. We need to evolve to the point where we all know why reality TV is not real. Once we can get to that foundational level, I think a lot of things would be better already.
Also, guys, if you don't know why reality TV is not real, I'll give you a big reason why. Because in between shots, the fucking director is telling the real people what to say and starting drama in between. That's a major aspect of it.
If they even decided to not just cut two fucking random bits from different days together to make it seem like...
editing reality TV is definitely made in the editing room more than anything else.
I know for a fact it is because I know people who edit it. Yeah. And they say every week we come up with brand new fucking episodes.
I just know someone who's acted on reality TV shows.
People are at the point now where we can see where reality TV is bullshit, but not really, because you have YouTubers out there who are vlogging every day. Fuck, when we do it, we cut shit out too. But I'm just saying, you don't know that. Not you, but people may not know that, and I think it's important to know that just so you're aware.
I mean, I guess maybe I'm giving people too much credit, but I think most people know the majority of things that are getting cut out is fluff. Like boring shit.
Sure, but it also creates false images of people, which is why podcasts are important.
Editing definitely fucking manipulates people for sure.
That's why podcasts are important, or not to some people. But I think you associate. Okay, you hear a podcast hasn't been cut, it is what it is. Boom, it's out there. then all of a sudden you're like, oh, they kind of match up to how their personalities are. Like I've never heard Kim Kardashian talk in person, but my guess is it's probably not as fluid as she is on TV.
Right.
I'm not as fluid as I am on fucking. None of us are. That's my whole point. No one is. So when you expect some ums, some buts, some likes.
Except for Chael Sonnen, that dude. Jesus Christ, man.
Because you can't cut him.
Yeah.
That's certain people you can't cut.
He's so good.
Because they just, the way they talk, they talk too fast to cut. Or they'll talk like, it's just, there's certain...
I watch his videos and he doesn't or anything. Like, no pauses.
Yeah, and he probably studied it.
No, he knows. Like, it's insane. Like,
unless he's doing it for effect.
15-minute video, just boom. I mean, unless he, like, wrote the whole thing out.
No, that's practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
You can get to that point. But what I'm saying is, there is a foundation level that we're all at now, and I think it could just be raised up. Because then what would happen is the market would ultimately decide, okay, for example, oh, I know how Tyler Perry does his movies. I don't like Tyler Perry, and then some other black filmmaker or whoever can make a film similar to that maybe goes deeper. I think that's just, it's like music. You might start off...
I mean, do you think that maybe Jordan Peele is trying to be that person?
And all more power to him.
You know?
Spike Lee probably still believes that he's that person, and he is still that person to some people. I'm just saying, because they go beyond that, and that's what creates the market. But you got to have everybody. That's why I just take it all back to Tyler Perry being shit on. He has his niche. Let him serve his niche.
This is what's great about this whole thing is it's all fucking centered. It started with Tyler Perry. It ends with Tyler Perry.
I just think at the end of the day, it's important for...
Well, if anybody actually comments on this, let us know if you want us to bring someone on to have their perspective on it. But I think I got a question for the day. It has to do with me talking shit to people, trolling people on the internet. But what do you consider classic? Like, what makes a film classic in your eyes? And the reason why I bring this up is because Chris Evans posted a photo of him, Robert Downey Jr., and Chris Hemsworth saying he wants to do a remake of The Three Amigos, which was a 1986 comedy starring Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short. It's about they're playing Mexican cowboys, basically. They're actors, and then they go south of the border. Yeah, well, for the people who haven't seen it.
That's right, yeah. Okay.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen it.
Goes to my point, people don't watch old movies.
Yeah. Well, just in general, the film itself, it was a box office failure.
Doesn't matter now, though.
There's a reason behind it, and I think a part of it has to do with where he lived. But, so, the first thing I saw in the comment section was like, there's no way you could remake this classic. And then that's, not that people like, I don't care if people like it and think it's great, like, that's a family movie or whatever. The fact that somebody got triggered that they would even think about remaking it. And
tell me what constitute a film becoming a classic.
I think for me, if we're gonna call a film a classic, it's got to be relevant in the lexicon of pop culture. That's the kind of way I look at it. Like, if it becomes a part of pop culture in some way or another, that's what makes it classic. And for all you want to say about The Three Amigos, I don't put it in that. And I think films from that, if you compare it to films from that era as well, it doesn't live up to them. I don't want to say live up to them, but it doesn't compare when it comes to the relevance culturally. And it's interesting when I brought it up, my friend Tanya, who's born and raised in Puerto Rico, she was like, oh, dude, it's everybody in Puerto Rico loves that film. I was like, really? And he's like, yeah. It's because the local TV station paid for the syndication, and they were showing that movie on TV, like on loop. So every kid watched that over and over, God knows how many years, And I think I see that. You see that with like A Christmas Story, for example. I don't know how popular A Christmas Story was when it came out, but it's on TV every year at Christmas, and everybody knows it. And the film's almost 40 years old. That for me is a classic because of how like relevant it is in the public. Like, people are still pulling bits from that film and using it to this day. Or making jokes like for example, like I'll Be Back. Which is not as popular as it was before, but most people within a certain age group for a good 25 years knows you're talking about the Terminator when you say that. When you use it, We're getting to a certain age now where there's kids that have no idea what the fuck that means. I know.
Which goes to my whole point.
Yeah.
Which goes to Scorsese's point. I don't want to keep bringing it up, but he didn't say that, and I wish he fucking, again, ambush journalism's bullshit. You sit that guy down and actually ask him questions, I guarantee you his answers would be more fucking appealing to people than just one fucking thing. Because I'd love to talk to him about it too, because I think he's crazy for saying that. But I think what you just said is proving the point, that you don't watch old movies. And if there's nothing but, which is not true, there's clearly movies out there.
But do you think his whole thing had to do with people not watching old movies, or was he talking about new movies getting put out?
I mean, I'm not too sure. My thing is, I'm just going to go off of what you said.
I completely
I'm going
agree.
off of what your argument is, that Marvel has... Pick a Marvel movie and more people have watched it than any Scorsese movies probably, right?
Right.
So when you're watching less and less movies in more like that are like Three Amigos or what, even bothering to go back and check them out because what you're being inundated with is not that, I think it kind of just proves the point that maybe there's too much saturation. But to answer your question about classics, you kind of answered my perspective on it, which is what a classic is to someone doesn't need to be a classic for you, and that doesn't make it not a classic.
I mean, I also think that's an easy way of talking yourself
No, I
out of
don't,
it.
because there's no fucking society of classic films that, each film that's designated a classic gets entered into the fucking Classic Hall of Fame.
I mean, obviously this is super subjective, but
I think that's the thing.
For me, classics go by cultural relevancy.
Yeah, but you
like
can't...
David Hasselhoff is huge in Germany, but outside of Germany...
And they might fucking think The Avengers with him as Nick Fury is a classic because of that.
Right.
But who are we to say it's not?
See, I'm not giving people a pass that way.
Well, you're being very ethnocentric with America, but it's true though, because you don't know what was a classic for some people growing up somewhere else.
No.
Maybe they've never seen a Christmas
for the sake of
Story.
This conversation, let's keep it.
Maybe Jingle All the Way is the fucking classic Christmas movie. Because it was for me until I rewatched it a few years ago, and I'm like, it's not as good as I remember. But growing up, I grew up with Three Amigos. That was in the house. I fucking totally watched that. Wasn't my favorite movie with them in it. It wasn't as funny as my aunts thought it was. But they fucking liked it. They grew up with watching it. Well, they didn't grow up watching it, but they watched it when it...
It's an interesting discussion to have. It blew my mind because really what bothered me about people getting upset about even talking about a remake of the film was it's a film that I hear nobody ever talk about.
But that doesn't make it not a classic. That's the whole point.
It kind of does.
No, because it goes back. You take a step back.
When you get the nostalgia factor of it, and like how many films do you put ahead of it when we're talking nostalgia? I think that's important.
No, here's why it's not important.
When you think of 1986,
it's important to you.
Yeah,
and that's okay.
It's my question.
It doesn't invalidate the importance to you. Just like I can think it's important that I think Christmas Vacation is the best Christmas movie of all time, better than Die Hard. I could make an argument and justify Doesn't invalidate it that Die Hard's a better movie and has been more influential on action films. I'm just saying.
You're like this close to getting kicked out of my fucking house.
But my point is, all this is proving is that the world is bigger than you think it is. Mm-hmm. Chris Evans saying this, that we should do a remake, maybe people will watch it, maybe they won't. I don't know. But I'd be curious to know how many retweets it got and how many likes it got. If it got fucking 100,000, maybe there's more people out there.
I'd be more curious to see how many people went and watched the original after he retweeted it.
That's a good thing. How many movies? I guarantee you there's fucking...
I don't have an issue with the film.
There's more movies
let that be known. I don't have an issue with Three Amigos. I don't think it's like a bad film.
Yeah, but there's movies that... I guarantee you there's movies right now that Joe Rogan mentions and they fucking spiked in terms of people watching them.
I hope so.
If he talks... And that's not a bad thing. I'm just saying, we live in a... There's nothing wrong with bringing these movies back by talking about them.
No, definitely not.
But it's like the Tyler Perry thing. If Tyler Perry is serving those 10 million people, who's anyone to say that that's not a good thing? If Three Amigos is a classic to fucking 2 million people in the entire United States, you can't tell them it's not a classic. Because to them it is. And there's nothing wrong with that.
God damn it, I can. And I will.
You can, because it's your right to do so.
That's gonna
But it doesn't.
On my tombstone, it's gonna say
to those 2 million.
Three Amigos, not a classic.
And that's fine. Is it a classic in my eyes? No. like today.
Well, what is your personal definition of what a classic is?
I don't really I've never looked at movies as classics.
So there's no movies at all that you think are classics?
No, my mom calls movies classic. Like, that's a classic. But really, honestly, if I'm being real honest, classic to me is going to Cars. I use that word for Cars.
Okay.
If you want to say historically significant, we could talk about that. Or culturally significant.
Fucking weirdo. Jesus Christ.
Classics are for Cars.
Okay.
That's a classic. It's a 1967, whatever. That's a classic.
What about like a match or something that's a classic? Every
Okay,
year they have an annual race, and it's called like the fucking
Undertaker versus
the San
Mankind.
Pedro Classic.
Undertaker versus Mankind. Mm-hmm. That's a classic.
We call those 5-star matches in the biz, sir.
See, and I don't. I call it a classic.
It's like me pretending like I'm part of the fucking.
That's a classic fucking moment for WWE history. That's a classic match because they make matches like this,
right?
And that's a classic because it's old.
What about rewatchability?
It's hard. Depends on what movie.
I think there's a reason why there's certain films that always get rewatched by everybody. That goes back to the cultural lexicon of thing.
It also depends on how you grew up. You don't think I think Scarface would be a classic. You don't like Scarface.
No.
If I had to put it as a film,
I would agree that it's a classic though, because on a cultural level, it's very significant. Like that's one of those films where even the fucking skinny jean wearing pink dreadlock rappers still reference it in their songs. So it's still like,
but it's becoming less and less of a thing though.
Yeah.
It's going away.
I mean, I think gangster films in general are kind of slowly
For now.
Until
they come back out again.
Right.
Which they will.
I mean, it's part of it has to do with like the Italian mob has like been reduced significantly. So they're not a part of, we don't see them on TV like you did before. You know, you don't hear about Italian mobsters getting arrested.
It's hard to film. It's hard to fucking film a gangster movie about Mexicans right now without coming off racist, or about fucking black people, or about any other crime syndicates that are active.
Yeah,
because it's racist.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah,
don't want to film a movie about gang life in Chicago. Might as well make it into a musical. I mean, Spike Lee.
We did that with our fucking never to be seen feature. Like, we can't cast a black guy, we can't cast a Latino guy, because we didn't want to be like perpetuating these stereotypes.
Oh, because that's right. I'm like, what are you talking about?
And then we completely got rid of fucking all ethnic people in the fucking film.
And the one, except for one, we had a cool.
We had a cool
and
playing
then,
a stereotype.
Yeah.
And then me.
Not even fucking. He was an Indian before we even did Indian content. He was supposed to be playing an Indian, but he was from Sri Lanka, right?
Yeah,
that was his joke.
Yeah.
He wasn't Indian. That was his joke. People thought he was Indian.
Right, exactly.
And he's like, I'm from fucking
Sri
Lanka.
It was worse. No. He thought he was like from the Middle East. He thought he was like Arab. Yeah.
Well, it's the beard. The beard didn't help him out.
Yeah.
But that's about the movie. Yeah. Well, no, I do remember that because we were like, we don't want to just. They're gonna think, look, 2 black people are dumb.
Right. And it's us, especially us not being black. But we were socially conscious on the fucking film, which is funny because things have only gotten worse in those 5 years.
I know, it makes me want to release it even more.
Yeah.
It actually makes me think that people are going to think that we didn't make this a few years ago, because some of the jokes are way more relevant now than they were ever before.
It's fucking ahead of its time, man. It was ahead of its time. Well, someday. Anyways, that's going to do it for us, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Fucking review us on iTunes if you listen to us on iTunes. I don't know how the Google shit works. Like, can you review us on Google?
I don't know. I just submitted it and then we're on it. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, but we'll see you next time.